Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Math 30-1, Chapter 6, Lesson 7, Trig Applications, Part 1. Now, first thing, write out everything you need to know for the exam. Well, trig and graphing. Y equals A sine B x minus C plus D. A, B, C, D. Amplitude. B, phase shift, C is the phase shift. Where you start. D is vertical displacement. And technical term, vertical displacement. Now, B is the horizontal shift. Which is fine, but its period is 2 pi over B. You have to remember. Then now that's for sine and cos. It's pi over B for tan, because tangent has a period of pi. Okay, now that's the big things, but the other bits and pieces you got to remember. Let me see. Well, arc length. Theta equals A over R, and we measure that in radians. And remember, it's pi radians equals 180 degrees. Unit circle. The radius is 1. Cosecant of theta, which is 1 over sine. Secant of theta, which is 1 over cos, I think. I hope, I wish, I pray. And, oh yes, cotangent, which is 1 over tan, which is cos of theta over sine theta. And, oh yes, exact values, left-hand rule, or special triangles. Because you have to know the exact values. 0, 30, 60, sorry, there's 60, 45. And from that, you can figure all of them out for the entire unit circle. That you got to know. Now, moving on. First typical question you're going to get is, what's the equation? Well, here I'm giving you points, not a complete graph. Now, if you can connect the points here, notice you're getting, I don't know, if I could draw a decent-looking sine graph, you would get a decent-looking sine, but now, if we make this a sine graph, that's easy because we realize max plus min, max plus min over 2, so D equals max plus min over 2. My maximum is 8. My minimum is minus 2. So which is 6 over 2. So that's my D value there. Now A goes from the middle to the top, or the middle to the bottom. Max minus min. 8 minus 2. So that's 10 over 2, which is 5. So we're halfway there. Now, fairly nice. We go right here. We go, oh, that has to be my C value, or my phase shift. C is 2. Now, the big question is, what the heck is my period? Well, if we go here, here's another color, pink. We start at 2. And we go to 18, that gives me a wavelength, or period, of 18 minus 2, which is 16. So period, which is 2 pi divided by B, is 16. So So cross multiplying, that's 2 pi, b is 2 pi divided by 16, which is pi over 8. So this whole equation goes y is equal to, what was it, 5 sine pi over 8 x minus 2, sorry, not 3. Plus 3. All right? Now that's what you need to be able to do. Notice I didn't give you a graph, I gave you points. Now, building on that, word questions. So high tide in Vancouver is at 2 a.m. with a height of 8 meters. At 2:30 p.m., the low tide is 2.6 meters. If this function is written as y equals a sine b, bracket b, bracket x minus c, close bracket plus d, the values of b and d are. And notice we're not looking for the entire equation. We're looking for b and d. So, draw a graph. So, at 2 a.m., that is, let me see, the height is 8 meters. And then at 2:30 p.m., now here's the trick, 2:30 p.m., that's 2.5 hours after 12. So that's 14.5 hours. So we go 14.5 hours, we get a minimum of 2.6. Okay? Now, what have we got here? Half a wave. Now, we have a max minimum, so we can easily figure out A and D, which is why they're not asking for it, and I'm not asking for it. I want you to figure out B and D. Oh, never mind, we're asking to figure out D. Well, D's easy. My apologies. Learn to read the question. Max plus min, which is 8 plus 2.6 over 2, which is 10.6 over 2, which works out to be about 5.3. Sorry, my apologies. B and C would be the difficult ones. That question's coming. Anyway, now trying to figure out B. Now what's the period? Well, here, this is half the wave, which is 14 and a half minus 2, which is 12.5. So the whole wave will be 25. It'll be 12.5 plus another 12.5, which is 25. So B is 2 pi divided by 25. Okay? Now, one more question, then we'll take a break. A wheel rolling along the ground, getting ahead of myself. If you wanted to, you could figure out A and C and then graph this. C would be kind of difficult because it's over here somewhere, halfway between, 25, this would be 27. So halfway between 27 and 14.5 would be C. So you could graph it, but it's probably not worth the effort. Anyway, moving on. A wheel rolling along the ground has a diameter of 16 centimeters and rotates every 12 seconds. At time t equals 0 seconds, a point P on the outside edge of the wheel is at its highest point. Determine a cosine function that gives the height h of point P above the ground in centimeters at any time t in seconds. So, the wheel is rotating. Now, at 0 seconds, it's at the high point here. Then what happens is the wheel, think about it, as the wheel, it rotates, this point comes down to 0, back up again, and we have a cosine. And they're being nice to us, asking for a cosine. So we have to come up with some data points here. Well, 16, and it takes 12 seconds to rotate. Time t, function. Okay, so here, A, B, C, D. Now, we're lucky here because we start at 0 and go to 16. The amplitude will be 8. And actually, I suppose I should prove that rather than just talk about it. So, max minus min over 2 is 16 minus 0. 16 over 2, which is 8. And max plus min over 2 okay. Now, put D at 8, and then we go 8 up, 8 down. Now, the period is 2 pi divided by B, but that's 12 seconds to rotate. So B is 2 pi divided by 12, which is pi over 6. Now, what's C? Well, if this is a cosine, it's starting at the peak here, so C is 0. So we got the equation y is equal to 8 cos of pi over 6x plus 8. So we can graph that, and it should work, and we should get those data points. In particular, 16, 0, 6, 0, and 12, 16. Those should be data points we find on our data table. So graph it, and yeah, check our table of values. Now I'm going to pause the recording here because I know it's getting kind of long. Check this, come back, and we'll finish this. All right?